What's up, YouTubers? It's HypeHunter89 and the voices in my head coming at you from the Duelist Den, and today we have the top 10 graveyard traps of all time. Now, in order to make this list, the card had to meet two requirements. First of all, it had to A, be an actual trap card, not a monster or spell that you could use during your opponent's turn from the graveyard, and two, the card had to have an effect that banishes itself from the graveyard in order to use its secondary effect. Now, there isn't a whole hell of a lot of these trap cards in the game, so I really had a short list to work with, which is just fine with me, but I think I have got them into a comprehensive list of the most powerful and potentially powerful ones that are in existence. So let's go ahead and hit that intro. At the bottom of the list in the number 10 spot, we have Mischief of the Gnomes. Now, this normal trap card states that this turn reduces the levels of all monsters in each player's hand by 1, even after they are summoned or set. And you can banish this card from the graveyard, and this turn reduce the levels of all monsters in each player's hand by 1, even after they are summoned or set. Now, what's so great about this card is if you have high-level monsters in your hand, this allows you to lower the levels to easily summon them out to the field. But the main purpose of this card, I think, is against Xyz-based decks. Now, the reason for that is in order to run Xyz monsters, you have to have monsters of the same level on the field. So, for example, say your opponent's running a Burning Abyss deck. Well, you know they're going to be using pretty much rank 3s primarily. So after they summon that first Burning Abyss, you flip Mischief of the Gnomes, and all the Burning Abyss monsters in their hand are now reduced to level 2, which shuts down their Xyz plays. Now, this also does have some limited use against Synchro-based decks as well. However, as the majority of Synchro-based decks have a variety of levels in their extra deck that they can use, it does, like I said, only have limited use against Synchro-based. So, primarily, this is used against Xyz-based decks. For the number 9 spot, we have the Phantom Knights of Tomb Shield. Now, this trap card says that you can special summon this card in attack position as a normal monster, warrior type dark, level 3, attack and defense 0. This card is not treated as a trap card, and during your turn, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you will banish this card from your graveyard, then target one face-up trap card your opponent controls, and negate its effects until the end of this turn. Now, the reason that effect is so good is that it gives you outs to a lot of cards such as Vanity's Emptiness, Skill Drain, pretty much any continuous trap that is a floodgate that can slow you down or stop you. This is your out to it. And the great thing about it is, although it is a Phantom Knight card, it does not require you to have a Phantom Knight on the field in order to use, so you can easily tech this in to pretty much any deck that you want. Number 8 is Magician Navigation. Now, what this card does is it allows you to special summon one Dark Magician from your hand, then special summon one level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster type monster from your deck. And if you control Dark Magician except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you will banish this card from your graveyard, then target one face-up spell or trap card your opponent controls. It has its effects negated until the end of this turn. Now, granted, in order for this effect to work, you have to control Dark Magician, but on the upside, it does allow you to negate a face-up spell or trap card that your opponent controls. So not only does this allow you to get around the floodgate cards such as Skill Drain and Vanity's Emptiness, it also allows you to get around cards such as Necro Valley or equip cards that are giving your opponent a boost and things like that. Number 7 goes to Damage Diet. Now, what this card does is it halves all damage you take this turn, and you can banish this card from your graveyard to have all effect damage you take this turn, but you cannot have the same damage twice with this effect. Now, the way this card works is if you activate it on the field, every bit of damage you take that turn is halved. So if your opponent attacks with 3 different monsters, then the damage you take from each of those monsters is halved. And the same goes with effect damage. Even if you banish this card from the graveyard, if your opponent activates 5 different burn spells, then the damage you take from each of those burn spells is halved. The number 6 spot goes to Induced Explosion, and this is one of my more favorite ones that's on this list. What it does is when a card or cards you control is destroyed by a spell effect except during the damage step, target one card your opponent controls and destroy it, and during either player's turn except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, when a card or cards you control are destroyed by a spell effect except during the damage step, you banish this card from your graveyard, then target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. So this one has the same effect activating on the field as it does being banished from the graveyard. And the reason this is one of my favorites is because Dark Hole and Regeki are a pain in the ass. So let's say your opponent uses Regeki, blows up all your monsters. Well, you use this either on the field or from the graveyard, and you get to destroy one of your opponent's monsters as well. For the number 5 spot, we have Skill Successor. What this card does is it allows you to target one face-up monster you control, and it gains 400 attack until the end of this turn. And during your turn, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you banish this card from your graveyard, then target one face-up monster you control, and that target gains 800 attack until the end of this turn. Now, the reason this card is so good is because 400 or 800 attack is sometimes just the right amount you need to get over one of your opponent's big old beat sticks that you normally wouldn't be able to get over with the monsters in your deck. Rise to Full Height, coming in at the number 4 spot, is a really underrated card. What it does is you target one face-up monster on the field, double its defense, but its defense becomes 0 at the end of this turn, and you banish this card from your graveyard, then target one monster you control, and monsters your opponent controls cannot attack for the rest of this turn except to attack that monster, and you can only activate one Rise to Full Height per turn. Now, the reason this card is so good is because A, it gives you a really strong defense against your opponent's monsters, and B, if you do have a monster on your field and you use this effect, even if your opponent manages to destroy that monster that you targeted with the banishment effect, they can't attack anything else even if that monster is destroyed because of Rise to Full Height's ability. So it's really an underrated card, but it does have a major flaw, and that's if you don't have a monster on the field, you can't use it from the graveyard. For number 3, we have Skill Prisoner. Now, what this card does is you can target one card you control, and this turn, when any monster effect resolves that targeted that card at activation, negate that effect, and during either player's turn except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you banish this card from your graveyard, then target one card you control, and this turn, when any monster effect resolves that targeted that card at activation, negate that effect. So this is another one that has the same effect as the field as it does from banishing from the graveyard. And it's really, really powerful because it's any card you control. It's not just monsters. So if your opponent uses a monster effect to target a spell or trap, then you can use this to negate it as well. The downside to this card is it only works against monster effects, so it won't stop cards like Mystical Space, Typhoon, or Twin Twister, and things like that. But other than that, it is a really, really good card, and if you are going up against a deck that uses a lot of monster effects, especially affects the target, it is a really, really good side deck option. In the number 2 spot, we have Breakthrough Skill. Now, this is another one of those trap cards that has the same effect on the field as it does banishing from the graveyard. And what it does is you can target one face-up effect monster your opponent controls, negate the effects of that opponent's face-up monster until the end of this turn, and during your turn, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you banish this card from your graveyard, then target one face-up effect monster your opponent controls, and negate that target's effects until the end of this turn. Now, this card is really powerful and has been seen in a wide variety of decks, mainly because stopping just that one monster's effect is really all you need to gain some advantage in most cases. Now, this deck is primarily seen, now like I said, it's running a lot of different decks, but it did primarily see play in Light Sworns and Infernoids, as those decks really rely on milling cards from your deck to the graveyard, but it is still splashable in a wide variety of decks. And in the number 1 spot, we have Spiritual Swords of Revealing Light. Now, I really love this card because it is a great new twist on an older card. And what this card does is once per attack, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can pay 1,000 life points to negate that attack. And during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard. And this turn, your opponent's monsters cannot attack directly. Now, this card is so extremely powerful, and it is so overlooked that it's just not even funny. Now, the reason this card is so powerful is, say you're facing your opponent and they've got a bunch of 25, 3,000 attack point beaters on the field, and you just really don't want to take all that freaking damage. So losing 1,000 life points is really preferable to losing the game that turn, especially if you have no monsters on your field. And furthermore, if they hit this with a spell of trap destruction such as Galaxy Cyclone or Twin Twisters or something like that, then they're really just giving you a bigger advantage because you don't have to pay life points to stop them from attacking directly with the banishment effect. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making this video. As always, make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel. In addition to that, get your friends, family, and everybody you know who enjoys Yu-Gi-Oh! To get on my channel and subscribe to the channel. The reason for this is because on July 4th, if I have 100 subscribers, I will be doing a Maximum Crisis pack giveaway, and I will be giving away 5 packs to one person as long as I can get up to 100 subscribers on my channel. In addition to that, make sure you check out the Duelist Den Facebook page. I put up on that page every Sunday as to how many videos I will be putting up throughout the week and what types of videos I will be posting that week. So, until next time, this is Harpy189 and the voices in my head, signing off.
Take a shot at me, running side by side. It's a blur.